Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about being mindful and paying attention to the signs of how someone is putting energy into you or what you guys have going on. And what kind of brought me to the subject today was just kind of diving in as far as into my own past and history and stuff, just a little time travel backwards. In order for me to do this work, I have to time travel backwards. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? But I realized, like, a lot of motherfuckers, because I know that it's a war going on and it's oppositional. I already understand the intake, but it's a spiritual battle, and these are tactics that we all have to be aware of. But I realized, like, a lot of beings, entities out here, like, they are so false and fake in their imagery and their belief system and the words they speak. None of it has to hold any validity unless it's verified through the system. So I say that to say, right, pay attention and be aware of, you know, like, the energy that the other beings around you are placing into you and to what you guys have going on. So for me to give an example, there was like situations a while ago, nothing is kind of running concurrent, but I remember a being had asked me, like, if I wanted to, like, go grab a bite to eat somewhere. And I think it was because I wanted to hit a trail, but the trail that I wanted to hit was closed. Most of the trails I go to, they close like around sunset time. But we end up shifting the concept, right? An idea. She was like, okay, well, how about we go to this place that I always kind of wanted to go check out, blah, blah, blah. Kind of got a sunset view, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. We can go fuck with it. You know, I vibe out there. And I would say I was getting myself together. It had been about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes. So I hit the person and I'm like, yo, I'm leaving the house. I can meet you up there if you don't want to ride together, which is cool. I don't have a problem with that shit at all. So as I'm putting it in my GPS, you know, getting ready to head out there, seeing how far it is. I checked Google. I know it told me to check Google, but I always check their system. Google is their system. So I checked their system to see the place. And the motherfucking place is closed. It wasn't even open the day that she recommended. It was open the next day. And it just reminded me of how people will try to come into your life, and this is at the early stages, the beginning stages. We probably only kicked it once or twice, and it's like, motherfucker, you didn't even have the audacity to Google the time before making the reference to me. And these little things are things that just shouldn't get skated past, and I don't skate past none of that shit. I can name about 3-4 red flags that kind of lined up immediately right after that, you know. And when I had got that response and I looked into it, it kind of stabbed me right here, because it's like, bitch, you ain't even give me 2 seconds of you didn't even give me, like, I don't even want to say 2 seconds, but it's not even worth the energy to place into Googling a location to see if it's open or available. So if this is your process with me, right, and I understand this is a spiritual war, and this is just a vessel, I control I'm in control in the inside, then I already understand that this motherfucker, this has been their tactics. They have been doing this for a while now. I just happen to be another vessel in place to kind of connect the dots, you know? And I'm one of them beings that's super self-aware, that notice these things. They try to create friction right away within meeting them, you know? So like this same person, on our first day that we mingled, I would say that weird shit that they just did that day was like on day 2 or 3. But the first day we hung out, the disagreement in the conversation was about this male being female, female being male. And I'm like, it's not a debate with me. I'm public about how I feel about all of this shit. I don't want to sit here and debate you about this shit. I follow the natural flow of things. So if that's something that you have going on with me, it's no amount of words or indoctrination you're going to be able to say to me to make me believe in what you're saying, to believe that a man should be a woman and can be a woman, and a woman can be a man and should be a man. I would never believe that. You might as well put me under this ground before I start believing in those dumbass spells. Now, for the ones that do, there ain't no hate towards you, but you gotta get your ass on the right track. I don't know what else to tell you outside of that. Or start helping as many people as you possibly can, but dress the natural role that you are in. You can be feminine, take on your feminine energy, and help other people and say, okay, this is where I am, this is... Yeah, but when you out dealing with kids and shit, your ass need to dress like a fucking male. If you're a male, you might not be able to do nothing about your voice because you've been working on that so long. But your wardrobe, you can. No different with the women. If you want to pretend to be a boy, pretend to be a boy. But when you're around women, you need to dress appropriately. You need to carry yourself as if, okay, I do know how to do these things, but I choose to do these over here. Okay, so do the shit that you don't want to do. And when you're in your space, do the shit that you want to do. Simple process. But on the first date, that would be something that you would throw up as a huge topic of conversation. And for me, it's like, you was better off just putting that bitch in reverse and getting the fuck away from me, because it doesn't matter how long you're around me. I've been standing this way on a lot of my belief systems, and even with that subject alone, like, once I make a stand, that is it. I don't know what else to tell you, because usually when I'm making my stand, it's pretty solid. Unless it's some witchy shit that was in my soil and it's like, well, I gotta uproot that, let me pull that up. My bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem doing that. But when all this other shit is in place, and it made me think of how the opposition used trauma bonding to pull people together. Because on the first day, meeting somebody, especially when we have social medias, you should be doing your background check. You have to do your background checks, physically and spiritually. You don't need yellow pages. You got social medias now. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have social medias, then you should be human enough that you can ask the right questions and be able to read the energy in the process. You know what I'm saying? These are like, it's a huge reminder, right, of how the opposition works and how they utilize the trauma in order to create these weird relationships. So for me, I see it as, on day 1, this motherfucker had created friction with the witchy shit. I'll just leave it there, you know, no hate. I just said some witchy shit. So you got that on day 1. Then basically day 2 is the shit that I was just explaining at first, where somebody says, hey, I always wanted to check out this place, we can go here, but bitch, the place wasn't even open that day. It was closed. It's like saying you want to go to church, but it's fucking Monday. You know, most churches will have some kind of services on Monday, but for the bulk part of Christian churches, it's usually Sunday service, you know? So that's what I meant that statement as. Yes, you can flip it all kind of ways. So, but for 2, you have that shit that they just created, you know? Let me show you that I don't really want to put no energy into you. I'm just kind of winging it, and it usually works. Because most motherfuckers are too stupid to actually read me or pay attention. And then for 3, it was another thing where... what was the third thing? It was another third situation that had happened. Because it was the gender thing, then we had the not tapping in energy thing, and then it was something else. But I already understood. I don't want to dig into those details because they're really not that important. But it was 3 things that kind of lined up that was really like unhealthy from the beginning. But the thing is, with those situations, if you stick through those situations and you keep managing your energy the best way you can and still keep lifting them and building them in the same process, or being there for them in the same process, they already understand that, all right, I just fucking pulled out these 3 tests to trauma bond this motherfucker, and it's working. You know, it's no different when you pull out tests to see if somebody is working with the natural flow of life or giving you the best, healthiest answers and providing you with the right solutions or answers that they can possibly come up with. And I don't mean to say right, but just the best that they can when following the natural flow. You know what I'm saying? We do have things that's right, but we're not going right or wrong right now. But it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? So you have to pay attention to how much friction there is in the beginning and how much energy they're actually giving to you. And being in this space that I'm in now, I'm able to use these past experiences as examples to help utilize, for one, for me and experiencing life and dealing with people, and then for 2, I also get to use them for teaching purposes as well too. It's a spiritual war going on out here, and I'm gonna let it be known every day, every episode, every time we out here doing this. And motherfuckers is in my space in real life, I let them know too, even though they sit there with that dumbass look on their face like, I don't really. And what's wild is, like, when you really live this shit, it's easy to tell who's not really living it. It doesn't matter what kind of language they speak in, doesn't matter what kind of religion they take up, you know, doesn't matter, like, it's a handful of things that don't matter because it doesn't come with ill intentions, and you can tell that it still follows the natural flow of things. I have to, I'm gonna leave it right there, because religion, I feel like, you know, it's used to control, but if it helps control you into a better flow to help follow the natural flow, I'm all for it. You know, it's different cultures all around this world that have different belief systems, but the way society is set up right now, we all can look at each other from all over the world and judge motherfuckers. Hey, I don't know your living situation or your environment over there to be judging you, but if you in my living space and environment, oh yes, you damn right, I am slapping gavels, I am hitting hammers, I am doing all of that shit. I heard some motherfuckers say, oh yeah, I'm gonna stop following you because you judge people. So what? So what? So what? Do what you gotta do. The same thing I gotta do out here, you know what I'm saying? I still provide and take care of mine, and I still don't do shit with ill intentions. So I try to bypass those fucking weird ass perspectives and all that shit. And then clearly, if I get a handful of remarks or comments about me moving around in my videos, I'll stand here like a robot and just try to talk as still as I possibly can, not move my head or my shoulders, because I had a comment recently, somebody said, oh, hey, do you mind standing still, because I was getting seasick watching you move. And I'm like, it's a video, bitch, you don't have to watch it, you can put it down and listen to it. Like, the entitlement of motherfuckers out here. Like, I've been watching YouTube since 2013, 12. I never felt so entitled to comment or to DM or message a motherfucker who put theyself in a space to be helping and teaching, and be like, hey, do you mind not smoking on the camera in front of me? Hey, because I'm watching. Hey, do you mind not cursing because I'm watching? Hey, do you mind not moving so much because I'm watching? Hey, do you mind not, could you tell nature to tell the wind to stop blowing so much? Hey, do you mind if the birds would stop chirping so much? I'm like this. Every time I get one of these statements, I know that the person leaving this comment is not with this team. This is just some information that you came across that you could use. But if you was trying to use it in the right manner, your ass would not be leaving these fucking selfish ass entitled comments. You don't know what the fuck I'm going through or what I got going on over here. And it's not my job to express it or to explain it. You just need to know that this motherfucker over here is consistent in his daily content. It may be a day missed here or there, but I post daily, not weekly, not every 3 days, every 4 days. I'll post daily. You know what I'm saying? So that's one reason why, you know, when I'm in this journey, I try to give myself time and space before going through the comments. Because when you haven't been in these kind of positions, you have to adjust. A lot of people just wing it and think that they ready for all kind of power and positions, and your ass is not really ready for it. You just see other people with it, so you think that you want it, you can have it, and that you built for it, but you not. You not. Trust me, you not. Because you can get 50 million great comments, and then you have 1 or 2 weird comments, and those weird comments is the ones that fucking stand out the most. And if you in a place to where you're trying to grow, or you are growing and ascending, then you don't want to be diluted too much with, you know, the people that care about you and care about your word, your knowledge, you as a being. You don't want to have their either admiration or just compliments fill your balloon up. Because what happens is then that shit will turn into a hot air balloon. So if I just lived in my comments all day and just always was in there watching them before I felt like I was at a place to, okay, where, all right, now I'm at this spot in my journey. Now I can run through these things and I can engage, and I can go through 500 or 400 something comments of just hot air but not filling up the balloon. You know what I'm saying? But once that balloon starts filling up, that bitch is gonna lift off. You know? So that's one thing that a lot of motherfuckers don't even dive into. They so ready for it physically, and spiritually they don't be ready for it. And the ones that really understand this, they know how kind of intimidating it can be, but how ready you have to be for these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be aware of how much energy people is putting into you in your process, or what you guys have going on. Because a lot of motherfuckers is going to shoot you to shit, and you're going to know they shooting you to shit. And you might allow them to pass just because you are in a weird space yourself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't have too many people around right now. You've been isolating yourself for far too long. Or, fuck, maybe it just wasn't never nobody there. Everybody didn't always have people there, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's situation is the same. But I ain't want to run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.